In the first part of the lecture on low energy NP scattering, we have found the solution of Schrodinger equation for central potential V of R. Actually, the calculation was made into the center of mass system following the method of partial wave analysis. Now our aim is to find the scattering cross section of this scattering process. But before finding the scattering cross section, we have to know, or you can say we have to discuss the advantages of expanding the wave function into partial waves. And at the same time, we will also see that in the energy range which I have told you, the energy of the projectile, that is neutron, we take less than 10 mega electron volt. So in this energy range, when we take energy of a striking neutron less than 10 mega electron volt, we will see that the S wave scattering, when we say S wave scattering, it means the wave for which the angular momentum of the neutron will be in fact zero, and that wave is called S wave. And we will see that in the low energy scattering, this S wave is predominant, and so definitely we will focus our attention on the S wave only. So in this second part of the lecture on NP scattering at low energy, first of all we are going to discuss why we consider the S wave scattering mainly when we consider the scattering at low energy. So I have just written here the results obtained in the first part of the lecture on low energy NP scattering. We have obtained that the incident wave function is equal to summation L equal to 0 to infinity BL of R PL cos theta. Here you know this BL of R is actually the radial wave function, and PL of cos theta is Legendre polynomial. And this radial wave function BL of R is defined in this way, as I have mentioned here. We have already discussed in the previous lecture. This is defined as I to the power L into 12 plus 1 JL of KR. And in this relation, what is this JL of KR? You know this is in fact a spherical Bessel function. I have also calculated some of the important values of this JL of KR. In fact, when L is 0, then this spherical Bessel function is denoted by J0 of KR, and we have learnt that this is equal to sin KR by KR. And the first order spherical Bessel function, that is J1 of KR, is equal to sin KR by KR square minus cos KR by KR. And the resulting wave function, which is actually the sum of the incident wave function and the scattered wave function, we have obtained that this was equal to summation L0 to infinity I to the power L 12 plus 1 JL of KR plus FL e to the power IKR by R and whole times PL of cos theta. In fact, you can see when you define the incident wave function or the total wave function, there is a sum over L. So these results actually signify that there are so many partial waves superposed, and we have to discuss and we have to learn that actually in the range of low energy scattering, only L equal to 0 wave, that is the neutron for which L will be equal to 0, that wave will be mainly scattered. And how? we can say that the L equal to 0 wave is, or you can say the S wave mainly scattered in this process. First of all, in this lecture, I would like to explain this important fact. And after knowing this fact, we will actually calculate the scattering experiments important quantity, which is called a scattering cross section. So you can see that the results which I have mentioned here, that each term in the sum with a specific value of the orbital angular momentum quantum number L represents a solution of the wave equation in spherical polar coordinates with constant potential energy. Therefore, the expansion classifies the particles in the beam according to their angular momenta. And you can see that the low energy, which is below 10 mega electron volt, most of the scattering will be due to L equal to 0. And to know that L equal to 0 scattering is the predominant, and so S wave is sufficient to discuss it. So to know this, first of all, we will calculate the first two values of the radial wave function BL of R. You know BL of R is equal to what? I have just defined here and discussed in the previous lecture. This is I to the power L into 2L plus 1 into JL of KR. You know the meaning of each term in this. So if we want to find the first two values of this radial wave function, that is first two means for the first two values of L. So when for L equal to 0, we will find this BL. So this will be written as B0 of R, and as I have taken L equal to 0, so this will be I to the power 0 into 2 into 0 plus 1 into J0 of KR. And see here, this is actually 1 and this bracketed number is also 1, and you know this J naught KR is equal to what? We know that this is in fact sin KR by KR. And if you expand this sin KR, this will be almost equal to, after the expansion of sin KR, this will be almost equal to 1 minus KR square over 6. So this is the approximate value of this B naught of R. Now we will find the value of this radial wave function when L is equal to 1. So you can calculate it for L equal to 1. We will write this as B1 of R. And what will be this? Put the value of L in this expression for BL of R. This will be I to the power 1 into 2 into 1 plus 1 into J1 of KR. And this will be in fact I into, this is 3, I into 3 and J1 of KR. Just I have mentioned the value of this Bessel function J1 of KR. This is actually sin KR divided by KR square minus cos KR divided by KR. and here there will be other higher power terms, but I have mentioned only the first two terms, so let us write here so on. And now in this expression, when we will expand sin kr and cos kr, then in first approximation, what will be our result? Actually, after expansion of sin kr and cos kr, you will get, this will be 3i into kr over 3 minus kr over 3 minus kr, in fact kr square over 3 minus kr over 30 and plus so on. This result is obtained after expanding the sin kr and cos kr. And now we have calculated actually b naught of r and b1 of r. Now let us say this is equation 1a and this is 1b. Let us say. Now we have to find the value of these two quantities are how related. For this, let us find a ratio mod of b1 of r over b naught of r whole square. You can see this result when we will divide the square of this b1 of r by the square of this b naught of r. Approximately you can see this will be actually in fact kr square, almost equal to kr square. So this will be almost equal to, you can say almost equal to kr square. And say this is equation 1c. One thing definitely will have arises in your mind, that why we have not taken just the ratio of these two radial wave functions, but instead of b1r by b naught r, we have calculated the square of the modulus of these two functions. Why? Actually, you know, as the probability density is determined by the square of the BL of R square. Is modulus of wave functions square gives the probability density. So to know the probability that which type of scattering will be most probable, so to know it, we have to find the ratio of the square of the modulus, not the simple ratio. And this is why we have calculated the ratio of the square of these two radial wave functions. Now, to have an idea of the magnitude of the ratio defined in this equation 1c, let us consider a proper example. We take a proper example. Let us say let the kinetic energy of the striking neutron, kinetic energy of the striking neutron, let us say E is 1 MeV in L system. L system means laboratory system. And you know, if we will transform this value in CM system, then we will have to take the reduced mass instead of the mass of the neutron, and you know a reduced mass of this NP system is what? A reduced mass, which I have just written by the symbol capital M, that was found in fact m by 2, where m is the average mass of the nucleon, that is mass of a neutron or a proton. And so if we will consider the value of the kinetic energy of the neutron in fact in center of mass system, then we will have to replace the mass of the neutron by this reduced mass, and since the reduced mass is just half of the mass of the neutron, so kinetic energy of the neutron in fact CM system will be just half of this value. So kinetic energy of the neutron in CM system, what will be its kinetic energy? Actually, that will be equal to 1 over 2 MeV, that is 0.5 MeV. We have just considered a value and that value must be less than 10 MeV, and so we have just taken E equal to 1 MeV. Now, if the kinetic energy of the neutron in CM system is 0.5 mega electron volt, what will be its momentum? That is magnitude of the momentum. So, magnitude of the momentum of the neutron, this P is actually equal to what? This will be 2 ME to the power half. Let us substitute the values of the quantities in this expression. This is 2, m is mass of the neutron, and that mass will be actually 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg, you know it, and energy is 0.5 MeV, and when we will convert it in joule, we will multiply it by 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 and to the power half. So when you will simplify this result, you will get that the momentum of the neutron in CM system is actually equal to 1.63 into 10 to the power minus 20 kg meter second inverse. This is the value of the momentum of the neutron having energy of 1 mega electron volt in L system or in lab system. Now, if we know the momentum of the neutron, we can easily calculate the wave number or the wave vector associated with it. So, the wave number, what will be the wave number? Wave number means angular wave number, that is k, and this k is actually equal to p over h cross. You know p is equal to h cross into k, and so this k is p over h cross. Now let us substitute the value of p which we have obtained for a neutron of 1 mega electron volt energy. So we have calculated that this value is 1.63 into 10 to the power minus 20 kg meter per second, and H cross, this is reduced Planck's constant and its value is 1.05 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. Here all values have been written in SI unit. And so when we will simplify these numbers, we will get that K is equal to 1.55 into 10 to the power 14 meter inverse. So taking this example, that is a neutron of energy, in fact 1 mega electron volt in L system, we have calculated that the wave number associated with the neutron is 1.55 10 to the power 14 meter inverse. Now you know the range of the nuclear force is of the order of femtometer. So let us consider here the particular value of R, that is when we calculate the wave function, that is radial wave function in the range of the nuclear force. You know the variation of the potential energy function with R. Here is R equal to R naught, here R is 0. So this R naught is range of the nuclear force. In fact, outside of this value R equal to R naught, nuclear force in fact rapidly decreases. So in this region, our aim is to find that ratio. So you can say, if we assume the nuclear forces to have a range of R naught equal to 2 Fermi, 2F or 2 femtometer. And when you say 2 femtometer, it means 2 into 10 to the power minus 15 meter. In fact, in this condition, what will be the value of modulus of B1 of R by B naught of R square? We have calculated in above that this ratio is actually equal to a square of Kr square, a square of Kr. And so in the range of nuclear force, this will be almost equal to Kr naught square. Now let us substitute the value of K and R naught in this expression. We have calculated that this K is equal to what? This is actually 1.55 into 10 to the power 14. And R naught, see here, this is 2 into 10 to the power minus 15 and this much square. If you will simplify this result, you will find that this ratio is actually equal to 0.091. So therefore, we obtained that B1 of R over B naught of R square, this is actually equal to 0.091. You can see from this result that the value of B1 of R is much smaller than B naught of R. Actually, if we will consider the value of B1 for here B1 of R, you know this is value of BL of R for L equal to 1 and B0 of R is value of BL of R for L equal to 0. and we find that this ratio is actually very small. This is this much, 0.091. So it is evident from this result that only about 9% of the scattering is due to the neutron with L equal to 1. If you will multiply this ratio by 100, you will get the percentage value, and that will be actually what? That will be 9%. So you can say that at an energy of 1 MeV, only about 9% of the scattering, 9% of the scattering is due to the neutron with L equal to 1. And in other words, you can say almost 91% of scattering for energy of 1 mega electron volt will be due to the neutron with L equal to 0. So this result also implies that 91% of scattering is due to neutron with L equal to 0. So if we will keep the energy of neutron at a value almost equal to 1 mega electron volt in laboratory system, then we will find that the most dominating scattering is only due to the neutrons having L equal to 0, and the scattering with L equal to 1 is in fact almost negligible in comparison to the scattering of neutron for L equal to 0. And so we can conclude, we can say that the scattering in the low energy region is actually dominated by the neutron with L equal to 0, and such a wave is known as S wave. So basically we can say that in case of low energy NP scattering, the most probable scattering is S wave scattering, and this is why we will discuss now further particularly the S wave scattering. And even if I am just giving you another example, that if we will increase the value of energy of neutron from 1 mega electron volt to, let us say, 10 mega electron volt. So if we take E equal to 10 MeV, if we will take this, even in that condition we will find, making the same calculation as I have discussed above, in this case we will find that B1 of R over B naught of R mod square, this will be almost equal to 0.49. In fact, what this result refers, actually this refers that even when the energy of the striking neutron is 10 mega electron volt, in fact in that condition almost 49% scattering is due to L equal to 1. So you can see, as the energy of the striking neutron increases, then probability of a scattering of the wave having L greater than 0 increases. So if we have to keep the scattering of S wave and we are limited to the scattering of S wave, definitely we should keep the energy of the striking neutron below than 10 mega electron volt. And so in actual experiment, the value of energy of a striking neutron is kept almost of the order of 1 mega electron volt or 2 mega electron volt, never 10 mega electron volt. This is in fact upper limit, because here the probability becomes almost equal. 49% is very close to 50%. So if we have to concentrate on the S wave scattering, then energy of the striking neutron should be almost 1 mega electron volt or 2 mega electron volt. So what you have seen here in this discussion, actually now it is clear to you that only physically reasonable situation in NP scattering below 10 mega electron volt is the S wave scattering. It means only the first partial wave for which L equal to 0 plays a major role if we consider the low energy NP scattering. And so in fact in further discussion we will consider the wave function only when L is equal to 0. So now we can see that what is in general psi for incident wave. We have learned that this psi inc is actually sum from L equal to 0 to infinity BL of R PL of cos theta. In fact, this is sum of the different partial waves for different values of L. But as we have learnt now, in low energy scattering, only L equal to 0 scattering is dominating, and so now we will discuss the situation only when L is equal to 0. So taking L equal to 0, what we will get? We will get that this psi inc, mention here that this is L is 0. This is particular value of psi, that is the first component of these waves. So this will be actually what? B naught of R and P naught of cos theta. And you know what is this B naught of R? We have just mentioned the value of B naught of R just now. So we have found that this is in fact sine kr by kr, and we know the Bessel function of, not Bessel function, but this is Legendre polynomial. Legendre polynomial of 0th order is actually equal to 1. We have you have learnt that this P naught cos theta is equal to 1. So this will be actually equal to sine kr divided by kr. Now this sine kr can be written as, this is 1 over kr, and you can write sine kr as e to the power ikr minus e to the power minus ikr and divided by 2i. We can write it in this way. And finally, we can write that psi incident for L equal to 0 is e to the power IKR minus e to the power minus IKR and divided by 2 IKR. And let us say this is equation 2. So we have calculated the incident wave function when the value of L is equal to 0. Actually, we have to calculate the value of this wave function, in fact, when time is evolved. So if we consider the time evolution, in that condition, you know, a wave function when time is evolved can be found by simply multiplying the wave function by a factor e to the power minus I omega t. So if we consider the time evolution of equation, see this equation, this is equation 2. If we will see the time evolution of equation 2, then at any later time t, psi incident for L equal to 0 at any later time t will be what? We will simply multiply by the factor e to the power minus I omega t. And you can also write instead of omega e by h cross. But here I am writing omega. So, and the wave function which was at t equal to 0, that was in fact e to the power I kr minus e to the power minus IKR divided by 2 IKR. Now, you can write this equation in a particular fashion. In this way, we can write it 2 IKR and e to the power I kr minus omega t and minus e to the power minus I kr plus omega t. We can write in this way. And see this expression for the value of psi incident for L equal to 0 at any later time t, and say this is equation 2a. In fact, in this equation, the term e to the power minus IKR, this term e to the power minus IKR, actually this represents an incoming spherical wave. This represents incoming spherical waves, and the factor e to the power IKR, this represents the outgoing spherical waves. Outgoing spherical waves. So you can see that in case of L equal to 0, the part of the incident wave is actually the sum of the two spherical waves, not a plane wave, as our first assumption was the incident wave is plane wave. But actually when we consider that L equal to 0 part of the incident wave is actually a combination of the two spherical waves. The incident wave is also a spherical wave, and the outgoing, that is a scattered wave, is also the spherical wave, not a plane wave. So we have assumed, you should remember, we have assumed that earlier that the incident wave is plane, but here you can see the incoming wave is also spherical and the outgoing wave is also spherical. And in fact, one wave, that is incoming wave, is radially incoming and the other is radially outgoing. So two important things in this we have discussed, that when we will consider the low energy scattering, then the L equal to 0 wave, that is S wave scattering, will be dominating, and we consider mainly the S wave scattering in case of low energy NP scattering. And another important fact is that actually the incident wave, when we consider or we do not consider in fact any potential, because you have seen that this solution is when we have switched off the potential. So in absence of the scattering potential, the incident wave in for L equal to 0, this part of wave is actually constituted by the two spherical waves. First one is incoming spherical wave, which is in fact radially coming toward the scattering center, and the another is the outgoing spherical wave, which actually radially moves away from the scattering center. So this was the main fact of this lecture. And now in the next part of this lecture on low energy NP scattering, we will actually see the effect of the scattering on the scattered wave. What effect actually takes place? You will see that there is an effect of phase change, and considering that phase change, we will calculate the most important quantity, that is a scattering cross section.